ESBR Boxing, we are back. Myself, Thomas, Gregory, we are here. I suppose we're across the Atlantic for both the fight, and we are joined by Thomas, who himself is also across the Atlantic. But we're talking about the fight that's taking place between Andrade and Benavidez in Las Vegas at the end of November. So depending on when you're watching this, you could be watching this in the middle or the beginning, but it's 25th of November. Fight taking place in the super middleweight division. Lads, thank you very much for joining me. We're going to obviously break this down here, and hopefully offer a little bit of insight on both men. Finish with the prediction, and do a little bit of what's next. Sort of a question, I suppose, to get you going, get you, loosened up and limber first and foremost is this one really. It's not necessarily, I don't think, any point talking too much about Andrade's record and whether Benavidez is the best fighter he's faced. I think that's clear. But if we go to Benavidez and we look at the challenge that Andrade presents, obviously, he's fought Caleb Plant, Lemieux's on the record, Durrell's on the record, some other names as well on there. Where do you think Andrade ranks for Benavidez on his record? Is it near the top? Is it in the middle? Is it the best? Where do you think? Gregory, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah, great to join you guys as always. I think although I don't think Andrade has the resume that Benavidez has, I still do think Andrade is one of the most unlucky avoided fighters that I can remember in recent times. So with the fact that he's undefeated, world champion, I rank it really high on Benavidez' resume. I think it might be maybe at the top, maybe the second. I think Caleb Plant is a fantastic one. So yeah, I rank it up there, Elliot.
Thomas, would you agree with Gregory there? Do you think that Plant and Andrade be 1 and 2 on Benavidez' record?
Yeah, absolutely. I think those two, in my opinion, are kind of I'd have to put maybe Caleb Plant as the best on Benavidez' resume, and number two have Andrade on there. But I feel like it's close. It's very close. But I would give it to Plant just because Plant did fight Canelo and everything. So and he was the champ. So yeah, I'll definitely have Plant number one and Andre number two, but it's close.
No, excellent. No, I agree. I think you both lads hit the nail on the head there. But I'm going to come into what we're going to talk about now. Actually, is a little bit about, I suppose, the key methods to victory of both men. So we're going to focus on Andrade here, and we're going to talk about, as Gregory alluded to, undefeated. 32-19 record, 6 foot, 73.5-inch reach, compared to Benavidez, who's 6'2" with a 74.5-inch reach. So slightly smaller of the two men. I think we've seen, from a British perspective, that Liam Williams fight being a kind of fight where he almost looked incredible for the early parts of that, and then almost sort of slacked off a bit. So you almost saw the two sides of him really in that fight. Started off brilliantly. But Gregory, I'm going to come to you again first. I'm going to ask you really what the keys are to an Andrade victory here. Like what sort of style of the fight would you expect him to bring? How can he possibly overcome the challenge that's Benavidez?
Elliot, I think he needs to make Benavidez overreach with his shots. I think he needs to fight him on the back foot, but almost counterpunch Benavidez. I think if he goes and he tries to set the standard of taking centre ring, I think Benavidez will walk through him. So for Andrade, I think he has to maybe box on the back foot and counterpunch and try and make Benavidez overreach.
Thomas, would you agree with that? Obviously, Andrade is also, a southpaw fighter. Do you think it's one of those ones, sort of counter punch, hand speed will be key to fight for him here if he's going to prevail?
Absolutely. And he has to make sure that he keeps it up for all 12 rounds. I feel like Benavidez is really good at grinding people down and making them wilt towards the end. That's kind of what he did to Caleb Plant. I mean, he didn't knock him out, but he came close and was clearly had the upper hand towards the end. So Andrade will have to make sure to be on his P's and Q's, stay off the ropes, keep turning Benavidez, and just keep his hands moving. But it's going to be pretty hard to do against Benavidez.
No, yourself and Greg have alluded to the fact that Benavidez is someone who can walk you down, a kind of pressure puncher in that way. Strong, 23 KOs out of 27 fights. So I'm going to come back to you, Thomas, and just say, do you think, do you reckon that Benavidez will be able to take Andrade's power? Do you think he'll come forward on that way and grind him down? Or is there another way with a superior sort of size and reach potentially as well. Do you think he'll fight a different fight, or will it be a case of coming forward and trying to grind him down?
I think he's going to come forward. And I think that would be the best thing for him to do, is just fight the best fight, or, fight the fight that he's used to fighting. And that's, putting the pressure on guys, throwing fast combination punches too. He has really fast hands, and just breaking them down. And he's got to make sure to go to the body too, Benavidez.
Yeah, no. Greg, would you concur with that? Do you think body work key for Benavidez here as well, or do you think, and again, do you think front forward sort of grind him down, or do you think also use the sort of the size that he has, sort of maybe keep it at range as well? How do you see him sort of approaching this fight, please?
Body work, I totally agree with Thomas. Body work will be very important, but I think for Andrade to land and not get hit back, I think it needs to be straight shots to the body, maybe come down with a straight left to the body. They say that if you want to break the tree, you have to hit the trump card. So yeah, I think he needs to work the body, because if he slows Benavidez down to the body, then he can't be as ferocious in the second half of the fight, is what Thomas said. So yeah, definitely body work important for me.
Do you think that Benavidez will take that power? Do you think he'll be able to come through that and continue to go forward? Is that how you expect the fight to go? Do you think it'll be him going forward, kind of getting hit, taking it, and then sort of pressuring and grinding Andrade down? Or do you think Benavidez will try and stay at range a bit more with obviously his superior jab, superior reach advantage?
I think this is a really hard fight to read, Elliot, because I'm really not sure what both guys are going to do. I don't know if Benavidez is going to be silly enough just to recklessly walk forward at Andrade, and I don't know if Andrade will be silly enough to stay in the pocket at times. It's a really intriguing fight, and I think that's why we're looking forward to seeing it so much. So yeah, I just think that it's one of those ones. I think it will kick off in the second half of the fight, and I think you'll find the conclusion will come in the second half as well.
Well, I'm going to keep everyone watching on tender hooks there, because we are at predictions. But Gregory, you're going to go second on your prediction this time. Thomas, I'm going to come to you again here. Greg's alluded to the fact that he thinks second half. Don't know whether he's going 6+ or points, but he says he's going to go obviously beyond the first sort of 6 rounds. How do you see this fight going, please? Predicted winner, and via what method, please, Thomas?
I think early on, Andrade will be successful, and I think he will win most of the early rounds. And I think it will go like the Caleb Plant fight, to be honest. I think Andrade will win most of the early rounds, and then towards the end, Benavidez will, kind of grind him down and make him tired. And I think, that's when he will start to do his best work. But I think it might be a little bit closer on the scorecards, perhaps. Maybe Benavidez close decision, I'd say.
Benavidez close decision. Very brave, Thomas. Very brave. Thank you for showing that, Greg. The time is up now. You have to give yours. Are you agreeing with Thomas? Are you disagreeing with Thomas? How are you seeing it play out, please, from a prediction perspective?
I think most of what Thomas said there, I really agree with. What I would say, and I don't really have a lot of evidence of this, but I think Andrade is slightly slowing down. I've watched his last 2 or 3 performances, and he's obviously age catches up with everyone, but he's not that Demetrius Andrade that looked sensational against Brian Rose, who was a decent world level fighter at the time, stepping up to world level. But you can tell by watching a fighter at times if they really are a serious player in world boxing, and I believe Andrade was. He's now stepping up to 168. I think he's mid-30s now, Andrade. I think he's getting on a little bit. I just think that he's not had a fight as tough as this in his career, and I don't think he's had a guy who will be able to walk forward and throw shots at him all night. So I actually think in the second half of the fight, I think David Benavidez will stop Demetrius Andrade.
Gregory, you'll be pleased to know you are not alone here in that prediction. I am actually going to agree with you. I actually think as well. I think Andrade's 35, Benavidez is 26. I think agree with you as well. I think he'll grind him down. I agree with Thomas, though. I think Andrade might actually edge the earlier rounds, but I think he'll just get ground down, and to the point where he will get stopped somewhere. I'd go somewhere second half of the fight as well, probably 8+, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think he will get stopped, and I totally agree with you, which brings us on, I suppose. The fight's not actually happened yet. but we've agreed, I think, well, we've unanimously agreed with various methods that Benavidez will win. So we're just going to have a short, I suppose, 30-second summary of what we each think might happen post this fight. And Gregory, I'm going to come to you first, really. Obviously, Benavidez has talked previously about wanting Canelo. That fight, obviously, at super middleweight. He's obviously fought Caleb Plant already. Do you think that fight will happen? And if so, he wins. Who wins at the end of November? Do you think that fight will happen next, or how do you see him being matched after this, please?
Yeah, I think Canelo will fight anybody. Elliot, I don't think he fears anyone. All this talk you read online about he's scared of Benavidez, I don't think he is. I think he's just a businessman who wants the best fight that's going to give him credentials. For me at the moment, Benavidez is still in the who needs him club. He's not a name that is in the front of everyone's mouth as if to say he's this serious player in world boxing. Us, the hardcores, we know how good David Benavidez is, and we know that he is going to be a major player in world boxing for years to come. But I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see Canelo have to vacate 1, 2 of the belts to take on another fight, and you'll maybe see David Benavidez fighting for a vacant title.
I think that's actually a very good shout. That's a brilliant shout. I agree with you. I don't necessarily think Canelo will fight Benavidez next, not through cowardice, just because it's a hard fight and there's other challenges he's won. I think obviously try and move heaven and earth to fight Bivol again rather than fight Benavidez. But Thomas, coming to you, do you think we'll see that fight next, or how do you see Benavidez being matched post this fight, were he to succeed against Andrade?
Well, I think that Canelo, the best fight out there for him is Benavidez, at least at that weight class. So I think that he definitely should take that fight, especially over Bivol, in my opinion, because I don't think he would beat Bivol again. I feel like it would go the same way, to be honest. At least with Benavidez, that's a fresh matchup. And, in my opinion, I would rather see that more. But as far as whether that will actually happen, we'll see. I'll be optimistic on this one. I think Canelo will do it. I think he will take that fight. I think it'll happen next.
You know what I have to say, Thomas? I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that I think, from Greg's perspective, about us hardcore fans knowing who Benavidez is, I feel that would be the cachet fight for Canelo. If Canelo comes through Benavidez quite convincingly or well, I think that would elevate him almost to the hardcore. It's my only kind of reluctance to sort of predict that happening next is just the fact that it's a very tough fight, and I think, and I'm not saying he'd lose it, but I just think it's a very, very hard night's work for him that he may look to try and delay a bit longer. But lads, we cannot delay any longer. We cannot dally any longer. We have come to the end of this video now. Thank you very much both for joining me. Everyone who's watching, please check out the channel. Obviously, Thomas, at the moment on this channel has a video with Jamal Herring, which is doing very well. Thomas, congratulations on that. Thank you for obviously providing that. Please, guys, check that out. Similarly, around fight week, this event, obviously we'll have other sort of predictions and reviews and last minute sort of analysis, etc., as we always like to do. But guys, last thing left for me to say is thank you to all those at home who are watching, and thank you to Thomas and to Greg for joining me. Thank you very much.